Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Katie.
And this is the Reading Nook Magic Podcast.
Today, join us as we chat about Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas.
Finally.
Yeah, the first book of 3.
Yeah, we've been excited to talk about her for a while. But we're going to jump in with this series first, which is probably backwards, but...
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's necessary because we know there's a new ACOTAR book coming sometime, right? So they say. That's the word on the street.
Yeah, one day.
So we're going to hold off on that one. But we were just chatting before, and I'm like, I may just reread it.
Because you need it.
I just need it. I miss them.
That's
but until
forever
then,
the series I wish I could reread again for the first time.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, there's maybe some other ones, but I think if you had to pick one book.
One book or one series?
Oh, all right. One series to read over fresh. I don't know if anything's ever made me feel like that.
It was intoxicating.
Mm-hmm. That's why I picked up this one next.
Yeah. I think that's what most people did. Because they read ACOTAR and they had that SJM fix, I need more. So they picked this up. So
Here
we're going to talk about how we feel about it. Goodreads has it as a 4.46 rating, 938,000 ratings, and almost 95,000 reviews. What's your...
That's pretty high, 4.46.
Yeah.
I think a 4.25. And I started at 4.15 when we were prepping.
4.15.
Yeah.
Weren't you the one that said you could only do it?
Yeah, at first I was like, I could only do
4.173.
quantities of 0.5s. Okay. I don't really know if, as we discuss this further, if I'm going to increase it like I did on our One Dark Window episode.
That's fun. I like how we get there eventually.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, I actually love this. But yeah, I'm at 4.25 to start. This is my rating.
Okay, I'm a little less. It was like a 4. There's reasons we'll get into, but I think I'm pretty solid at a 4. So we already touched upon this, but this was my next book after my soul-crushing love affair with ACOTAR. That just gave me the all-consuming escape from reality. I ignored my life.
Yeah.
Spent hours on the couch reading it. People were like, hey, remember me?
Your job.
Your job, your personal life, responsibilities. And I was like, no, thank you. But for this one, so I jumped into her next series. I was overwhelmed by the idea of Throne of Glass being so many books. So I said, let's try this one. But I was halted pretty quickly. I actually stopped right around the time of the pack getting slaughtered. I couldn't handle that. Between that and the pretty intense partying and drugs and things like that, I was kind of overwhelmed by all of it. And I was like, I don't think this book's for me. So I put it down. And then it took me a while until I needed something, and I started listening to it and eventually got over that hump. But
how long did you put it down for?
Probably a few weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience. Yeah, similar to you. I had just gotten off of the high of reading ACOTAR and also was brand new into even reading again. I mean, truthfully,
So ACOTAR was your first series and then this was your second.
Yeah, literally. After not reading certainly before I became a mom. I don't think I've read since DJ, my son's 13. Really, truly have not read. And even still before that, it was mostly screenplays and plays I was reading. I haven't read.
What made you pick up?
Noelle. So one of my really good friends is not really a reader. She's like, sorry, I'm talking about you, girl. But she's a slower reader. She's not really into it. We both read Twilight years and years and years ago and devoured it. And she's like, you have to read these books. I read them so fast. And I was like, you read them so fast? And she's like, yes. I was like, okay, if you've read the books and you're telling me to, then I have to pick it up. And that was, probably a year before I even did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
so then we probably read them around the same time, her and I.
Oh, yeah, you and her probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my life has never been the same since.
Clearly. Look at where we
Look, I just completely changed my entire identity. My career path.
True.
Spent thousands of dollars. But truly, yes. So anyway, coming off of that high, I was...
And you pulled me with you.
So excited I was so excited. And I remember we were at the office and you were like, I didn't realize you were into those books. And I was like, I just got into them, but oh my God. I don't know, something inside of me like died. I've always loved fantasy, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Star Wars. She's never seen Star Wars. We're going to fix that. Just like all of it, just being, I just love fantasy. And had never read a book with spice in it before. And I was also in like a situation where my life was lacking passion, right? And it just awakened something in me. Anyway, so I was like, it was in a barren desert and I finally found water. I mean, really, truly, I know I'm dramatic, but it was actually truly like that. I did nothing for 3 weeks and I read all the books. And then when it ended, I was like, I need the next book. Like I needed something. So I picked this up. Naturally, you want to pick up a book from the same author, right? You want to.
You're like, if she does this, what's this going to be?
Yeah. So I was talking to one of the girls at Barnes & Noble and I was like, well, which one should I read? And she's like, well, this series is more modern day and it's like urban. And I was like, what do you mean? They have like cell phones and stuff? Because I'm all about the elves and the, the period pieces and the Vikings and all of that. So I don't know why it needs to be set in a different time for me to enjoy it. But I was like, ew, I don't want to read that. But I was proven wrong because it was great.
Worked. Yeah. It was because I don't know another series that ties in modern day technology mixed with magic and things to feel like this is the first one that feels like we could be living parallel to it, right? That it's like it could exist.
Which ironically, I ended up enjoying not more in a way I hadn't expected. Because I'm like, oh, maybe there's like a fae around here, or I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It felt like we could be living in this much more realistically.
Because magic is real. Gonna say that every episode.
Because it is. There's also like a lot of unique aspects of it. I loved the bone quarter and the ideas of the afterlife. The bone quarter kind of feels like purgatory to me, right? Because it's like you're dead, but you're not really dead. It's like that in-between tortured soul area. But it was just like a kind of a really refreshing spin. Being someone that lost, like my husband at, a young age, I've thought about death a lot, probably more than your average person. And it was interesting to think about death in that way, to have them be accessible, but not in maybe the same way that I've ever seen death be explained.
Which that just gave me the mental picture. Did you see the movie The Book of Life?
No.
It's like I love it. It's an animated version of like the Day of the Dead.
Okay.
Like celebrating that. And like on this one day you can like go to this place and you'd bring an offering, but keeping their memory alive. But the Bone Quarter is a little more darker than the Book of Life.
It's pretty dark. Yeah. It's like we're like feeding off of them. Speaking of feeding off of them, the game of Telephone Star was pretty cool.
Telephone Star. Official.
I just couldn't help but thinking of when you're a kid and you put the cup on the wall with the string.
That's exactly what it's like. That's a great,
right?
Yeah, a great metaphor for it.
I mean, maybe it's more elaborate than that, but that's definitely what I envisioned. I'm like, it's like, who's there? Charlie. Hey, Charlie.
Telephone Star.
I love it. Yeah, I love the uniqueness of that. I love another thing that I really loved was Bryce and Danika's relationship being the focal point of the entire story. I love that. I love my girlfriends. I love the bonding of women. I love that it wasn't just about the romance.
Yeah, because that was the super complex relationship. Probably more complex than I think we even realized, because things just kept popping up over and over and over. And it was like, wait, what? What? So complex, but amazing. Just that love.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It is like the key point of the entire story.
Through love, all is past.
It's kind of like Frozen. Well, because we grew up in a world where it was always about.
The fairy tale was always about love.
Which is great. We love that part of life sometimes, but it's really not everything. I try to tell my kids that. I'm like, romantic love is not everything.
Yeah.
It's not. Your soulmates can be your friends. It can be your family. It can be your dog.
Yeah, I feel like we learn that more than ever lately too. Just that these relationships are everything. So
yeah,
it's nice to see it, in words too.
I also struggled with the beginning of this book when the pack died. She did such a great job of making you feel connected to them and part of them. You felt like you were hanging out with them. You immediately felt attached. And we were chatting earlier about how it was almost like too much. I was like annoyed. I picked up the book again. I was chasing the Akatar feeling. And then I'm like, they all just died. I'm like, what am I reading?
Yeah.
You know, I just felt like, no, I wanted that. Like, I wanted Connor.
I removed all of that. I can't get into this book now. Like,
fell in love with those people for a second, and you just ripped them out of my face. But that's intentional.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast she got us to fall in love with them too.
Right, and if she didn't later on, we wouldn't have felt as connected to where it all develops. So it was pretty impressive, and obviously intentional.
Yeah, except soul crushing to make me close.
But I literally threw the book. Oh! I didn't put it down for 3 weeks, but I threw it. I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to read this.
Too much heartbreak too soon. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't my favorite of her writing to have to struggle through it. It was long, but I mean, to be totally honest, it has all the things that she's amazing at. World building, character development. Like, you can literally see the characters. You were talking about this, how like she describes Hunt wearing the sweatpants and the backwards hat and watching the Sunball game, and like you can totally envision him just like leaning on the couch hanging out. She's really good at giving you that visualization.
Oh yeah, of all of them.
Yeah,
I have a vivid picture of all of them in my head. Vivid.
Yeah.
Be careful.
And when you see the fan art, you're like, that's exactly what they should look like.
The fan art for this particular series is some of my favorite. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. Well, of course, it's so close to what we saw because she did such an amazing job having us be there, right? So I guess normally it's not exactly dead on, right? It's always like a red
Fourth Wing. I feel like whenever
oh my god,
there was such a variety of what they would look like, and I couldn't even really figure out which one I thought made sense.
Yeah, maybe Mira was the only one that was like pretty consistent, short hair, tiny but strong. But other than that, all the fan art. Even the way the world works. I mean, Valeris fan art is pretty good. But again, there's a lot of times it's the same author. She did a great job of showing you what it looks like. And it's crazy to be able to, it's such a talent to be able to have everyone hallucinate the same thing.
Yeah, that's special talent.
That is pretty incredible.
Yeah. And just being able to have us feel so connected to the characters. Like, everyone I feel like is always obsessed with the main two characters, right? They love the love interest. They love it. But I love all of the characters, right? Like, I get a connection to all of them, like Ruhn, Lehabah, Jesiba, like all of them. I feel this, like, I just love them all, and I don't want to see any of them die. Like, there's this super connection to them. With this one, like, each character is so complex and like wrecked. Right. Like, they all experience so much trauma in their past lives, and they're like how they function and like all come together.
I'm more connected to the other people than the main character. Like, Hunt is what Hunt is. Also tortured soul. I do feel for him in that he's sort of this like heroic, again, tortured person that was strong and then broken and then becomes strong again. So like, but as far as like a love interest, it's not someone you're super connected to. But you're right. Bryce and Ruhn's brother-sister relationship, the dynamic between her mom and her is super realistic. She's annoyed by her, doesn't want to talk. Her mom's always worried. It really spoke to me that she talks about her stepdad in such an endearing way. Like, he raised her and I'm adopted by my dad. So that really spoke to me and I could relate to that. Obviously, again, the relationship between Danika and her and the group of guys, it just all felt so realistic, like the interpersonal relationships and how they all, connect. And it gets even better and deeper as you go into the other, the next two books. You just feel so connected.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on like the relationships between everybody except for Hunt and Bryce. Like, it's probably my least favorite relationship of the whole book. The side ones, like even like Bryce and Ethan, Bryce and Connor. Bryce is obviously the center focal point with all the complex relationships, but they're just so interwoven and like deep, and the trauma all like ties together.
Yes. The relationships between everyone are not the only thing that's obviously really complex in this. I mean, they're huge books. They're behemoth of books. The storyline is so, so dense and so, so complex. And it's got a little bit of everything. It's got friendship. It's got romance. It's got trials. It's got loss of loved ones, afterlife, murder mystery, war, love triangles. It's got literally a little bit of everything. Despite all that, I never felt lost. Like I didn't know what was going on. It's so big and it's so dense. And that would probably be one of the main things that I maybe didn't originally appreciate, because I was like, maybe it wasn't all necessary. But then I read a review on Goodreads, and I can't take credit for this thought, so I have to say that. But she said, but when I wouldn't cut any syllable or subtle description of any character or situation or anything about the world out. And I truly, the only thing I could cut out is like maybe the slow burn that felt a little superficial between Hunt and Bryce. But aside from that, I can't see where to cut any of it. I don't think any of it was just a lot, but it
wasn't unnecessary.
No.
Where we like criticize other people for not editing and things like that.
And like, repeating themselves.
There's a reason for everything.
And there does end up being a reason for almost everything. It's like you stand corrected on your original critique,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So one thing that we agreed on is, we're in Bryce's point of view, but she like snuck in all these random like plot twists that even like that we didn't know, because I think it sort of like touched on her feelings and confusion and not sure what to do. And then a couple steps later, it shows that she had this like elaborate scheme planned out that we weren't even privy to, even though we're in her point of view.
Yeah, which makes sense. But it was that was a little annoying. It made no sense, because you should know what's going on. She has secret plans or whatever. And we're like literally hearing her thoughts. So like, how do we not know about that?
Like, not cool. Not cool.
No, it didn't really make sense. And neither did the slow burn to bring that back to the Hunt and Bryce. So I remember being at our office. We worked together too. And the day again, coming off of my ACOTAR high. Okay, you got to understand that I'm literally in desperate need of recreating those feelings. And I'm devouring this book at, rapid speed. And you were even like, are you okay? And I was like, no. And then
Where is it?
I like slammed the book, and I don't even think they kissed. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure they didn't. And you were like, is that the only reason you're reading it? And I was like, maybe.
They didn't kiss?
Oh
my gosh, now my brain.
I don't think they did. I remember being like, I just read that entire book and nothing. I don't think anything happens till the middle of the second book. Again, have to refresh for the second book. Right. It must be the last sentence if they do it, because I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Okay, so the reason I'm bringing that up is that they are the two main characters. Well, in this book, they're definitely the two main characters. Yeah, it just felt like a superficial slow burn. I'm sorry. It did, because we know Bryce's character is like so, has so much sexual empowerment and confidence, and her sexuality is such a big part of who she is.
And brought up so much in the story.
So much, and she's promiscuous even, right? Like, we know that. She talks about it. It's not really a secret. She dresses provocatively. More power to her. It's awesome. Again, I know we talked about how we can't really relate to that part of her character, but still, that's who she is. So it just didn't really make sense that Hunt would become such an important part of her life and be so attractive, and she waited so long.
She withholds.
I mean, maybe it's because she felt something more real and she was holding off, but I feel like her and Connor kind of had something real. Or maybe it's because she's grieving her friend, and maybe that's just not her focus right now. It just, But
I think like a month before her and Hunt started working together, she hooked up with that lion shifter.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's not like she was
that's true.
celibate for 2 years.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Again, if just one thing I could take out of it would be that. I would just say cut to the chase and just get to it, because my absolute favorite part of them is so refreshing. We were talking about this earlier. In most stories, when you have this is the opposite of what I can't stand about their relationship is that, when Hunt betrays her and gets caught in that act, or sort of betrays her, whatever.
Drug deal.
Yeah. He does what he's doing, and she's upset about it, rightfully so. And she gets mad, and she's crushed, and she's like, I'm done with him. She gets over it pretty quickly, which was refreshing.
Doesn't harp on it over and over
and over for an entire book, for an entire series. You know, like, you guys are connected. You've bonded. You have your thing. We all know you have your thing. And it was just really refreshing for it to be like, okay, this is resolved, and then we can get back into the story. And I think that's what a lot of books are missing, is so much story. So you don't need to be redundant with the romantic relationship.
Yeah.
Which I really, really appreciated. So the slow burn didn't need to be there, but I do appreciate a lot about that dynamic between the two of them.
So one of the quotes that I like that stuck out to me, even though it's not something I really relate to, it was, "There's nothing wrong with being a party girl. I don't get why the world thinks there is. It's easier for me when people assume the worst about what I am, because it lets me see who they really are." And I thought that was like such a fascinating perspective to use that to your advantage.
I can kind of relate to it in, like, you know, people that have the habitual need to self-depreciate. It's sometimes, and I don't know about all the time, but I feel like it's sometimes in an attempt to disarm people around you, right? Like, if you accept that you're a party girl and you don't care what anyone says, or you self-depreciate or whatever, you kind of take away the ammunition for someone to hurt you with those things because you're accepting them, right? It's like, how are you going to insult me if I'm owning it?
Yeah.
How are you going to use that as an Achilles heel or something?
I think you do that.
I do that.
Like,
I'm like, well, I'll say it all first, and then what are you going to do? You know? So, yeah, it's definitely a bit of you're hiding behind a tough exterior, but it works, you know? I mean, maybe don't do it all the time, but it's effective. We're going to start saying light it up. I love it. Bryce and
add it to our intro.
Yeah. Light it up. Again, their relationship, Bryce and Danika, they're so soulmates. They're soulmates.
Yeah.
And I think my girlfriends are my soulmates too. And the older I get, the more I feel that. So it's just such a fun dynamic. And again, speaking to death, right? There's a lot of death in this book. They still have that connection. You know, she hears her in her head. She's saying, light it up. She feels so connected to her. I don't know. It's just light it up. I love it. I just love it. That's all.
Just the other one that we made note of was like, look towards where it hurts the most. That's always where the answers are. And obviously that's pretty deep. No one wants to do that. No one wants to sit in the pain and the hurt.
We definitely don't want to do it. We're like,
but
me.
We do it. We definitely do it.
Ugh. It's a lot. Bryce does it. Bryce is pretty kick-ass.
I agree.
Usually I feel like I can relate to the kick-ass characters, and, you know, I mean, I've lived my life. I'm 35 years old. I went through my party girl phase, and but I cannot relate to her confidence in particularly for me, her sexuality and her femininity and that part of her. But I love it about her.
Yeah, her ability to make the hard decisions and just like trust and go. It's
admirable, I think. Inspiring. Something I would like to be more of, I think.
Yeah, I would love to have more of that confidence and just be able to trust my intuition. And, you know, even if it's like not the ideal outcome, to be like, well, this is the best move forward. Whatever the outcome may be, this is the way forward and we're going with it.
She just goes.
Yeah, she's super intelligent. Far from perfect. Like, I think she like wears every imperfection. Doesn't try to be something she's not. She's super authentic. And then we have to appreciate her intolerance for toxic masculinity, possessiveness, and like the stereotypical women role. She fights
But we can relate to that.
Yeah. Like fights it every step of the way.
I mean, maybe a little too much. I mean, not too much, but she's definitely obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Which comes into like my least favorite part is the Alphahole. Ugh.
There's always something.
Something's just so like cheeky and cringy. Like, just stop it. I mean, I agree with her upset. Like, we're in a bit of a man-hating era at the moment. I think it's normal for like just shy of middle-aged women. But I don't know. It's just the term, like what an Alphahole is. I also am obsessed and preoccupied with. I just wouldn't use the word Alphahole
over and over again.
It's just, ugh. I don't know like what that list of people means, but
I was just making note of like all the awesome characters. Like literally like Danika, Fury, Juniper, Ruhn, Lehabah, Flynn, Adis, the Viper Queen, Jesiba, Hypaxia. Like all of them. I really want to go to Jesiba's magical library.
I mean, I do too. It's ruined now.
Some of the books, didn't she?
Yeah, but the libraries got ruined.
I know. I want to go there.
Lehabah. It's Lehabah.
Guess which one she can't say in this book?
Lehabah. 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 All day. Lehabah. Lele. My girl. My little fire sprite. It's her death zone, the library.
She's so spunky and loyal.
She's so spunky. And that also I was thinking about earlier when you were talking about all the characters have so much trauma and they're also broken in their own way. I was thinking about her, and how much bravery, right? She's little. There's a reason why the fire sprite had that fiery personality. And she's so small and she just sacrifices herself, right? And she has no qualms about it. And it's impactful when you, again, we were speaking earlier while we were getting ready to film, and it's like when you see any war scene where people know they're going to die and they just like raise their sword and they go headfirst into all of that regardless. It's just really impactful. But there's a lot of that in this book. There's like the whole war, the rebellion or whatever. I mean, I guess it's a war. It is a war.
Essentially, it's the humans against the Vanir, right?
Veneer? Wait, veneers are teeth. I don't know why I'm dumb.
It's spelled Vanir in this book, I think. Right? You don't know. Not important. Yes, essentially at war.
Yeah, the
Vanir.
war, the war of the rebellion, Ophian rebels or whatever. It's pretty unique.
The concept of the Ophian rebellion, the humans against the Vanir. It's the bravery of the humans to like step up and then create these powerful. They have guns, machinery.
It's like Iron Man costumes,
robots, right?
Yeah, it's like Transformers or something.
The brimstone missiles, so that like bombs and everything that like.
Yeah, they're in an uphill battle. It's almost like there's like 25 different stories happening in this.
Gorsian, that's like, I think that's the name of like it. It debilitates the magic.
Yeah. It's so complex.
Mm-hmm.
So complex. Basically nothing is as it seems in these books. You think you're just reading like a love story and you're not. You're reading this. It's so complex and you're just reading so much and everything has a meaning and everything has something that you follow back. It comes back around. Mm-hmm. It has a meaning. It has like, this person is that person. This person's involved here. This person's a rebel. This person isn't. Yeah. So it's pretty intense. Her world building, her character development, as we keep talking about, is just so incredible. It really, really, really is incredible. I don't care what genre of book it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
I don't think there's any other books I've read outside of hers where you get the confusion from book to book. However, like I do see the parallels in her same series, right? Like the characters, they do line up in each series. Like you're like, oh, this is the Feyre. This is the Aelin.
Oh, really? You see similar? I don't see that between these two series.
Yeah, I mean, like I think
who is Feyre? Bryce?
I feel like Bryce and Nesta a little bit combined. But it was more like Elaine is Juniper. Fury is Amren.
I'd have to. It's funny you say that because I didn't make that connection at all. But when I was reading ACOTAR, I did see the similarities between ACOTAR and Twilight. Like Nesta
I don't know
is
that
Rosalie.
I ever read Twilight, so I don't.
Oh my god!
I mean, I think I saw the movies, but
that does not count. So yeah, Rosalie, his blonde sister, is Nesta, the pretty bitchy one, and then Amren is Alice, and Feyre is obviously Bella, and Rhys is Edward.
I'm not Tamlin, so it's not like
there is a Tamlin. It's Jacob.
No, I mean, yeah. Like I don't think it's not exact, but I felt the similarities, right? But
obviously they're repeated in a lot of different ways. But it's just interesting that you said that because I probably would have never brought that up, but it's something I always thought about. I was like, oh, this is really similar. It's like an adult Twilight. And then you think it's similar, but she is the same author. So you were talking about all the characters and like the Viper Queen. She's a pretty good villain.
I feel like I kind of like her. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Like I like her. She's that kind of villain. But obviously, there's one character that's like
I hate her.
There's no liking. It's like Umbridge.
I don't know I don't know who I hate more. I think Sabine. I really hate her.
Yeah, she's pretty rotten.
She is terrible.
Rotten to the core.
To every single person, to everyone in her pack, it's the antithesis of what a leader is. Mm-hmm. That's not what a leader is. That's like a dictator.
Yeah.
She's terrible to her own daughter. She's so selfish. I'm so surprised that her dad, I can't think of his name right now. I'm drawing a blank, but that he would even allow her to have free reign and be the alpha.
Mm-hmm. That he never once stopped it. I know he essentially, like, Danika had the sword and, like, it was probably projected that it would go
I think it would.
But that he never, like, put a stop to her ever.
Well, I mean, there's something to be said about, in reality, in wolf packs, it's like you fight your way to the top. Like, you assert that dominance, and she obviously wants to do that. As strong as she is, she just seems so weak to me. I hate that character. Yeah. You're supposed to. But I mean, I really hate her. I just wanted to, like, jump into the book and just, like, punch her in the throat. I'm like, somebody kill her. Please.
Why did it take so long?
They did. That was really satisfying.
Like, that's our chat. I mean, obviously there's much more to talk about with the next two books. Like, this one is just scratching the surface. And then there's... It just opens up to this, like, crazy world in the next two books that will continue on in the next episode.
Yeah.
I think this is where it is right now.
Yeah, it's the starting point. You're right. It just scratches just the surface, just a little itch. It gets better. Did you increase your rating yet?
Book 1, no. It's a solid 4.
Okay.
We'll see what happens next time.
Thanks for chatting with us, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.